Hello, Taylor Ellwood here, and today I thought that I would answer a question that was asked recently in the Magical Experiments group about the topic of why some spells work for some magicians, but not everyone, even if it's performed in the same way. This boils down to a troubleshooting question, basically, with magic, and it's a good question to ask. Like, why is it that magic doesn't, this person does this spell but I do it and it doesn't work the same? What's going on with that? And here's the thing, there's a couple different possible explanations for this. I'm going to offer some thoughts on this that might be helpful to you. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and click subscribe and click the notification bell. That way you get notified when I'm going on here. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the Magical Experiments Substack, go ahead and restack this video and share it with people around you, so that way they can benefit from it just like you. So when we talk about why some spells work for some magicians but not others, even if they do it the same, there could be a few different reasons. The first reason could be that you don't know what you're doing with that magical working. Just because you do everything exactly the same doesn't mean that you're going to get the same result, especially if there's any part of it that you don't understand. Now, I know there's a school of thought which says you don't need to know how magic works, just go and do it. But I disagree with that school of thought. I think that's sloppy thinking. In my opinion and experience, if you don't understand why you're doing something, it's a lot harder to get that to work for you. And it could be argued, hey, you theoretically have an idea as to what's happening, but you don't know for sure. And my answer to that is, yeah, if you're doing the work, you get a pretty good idea as to what's working and why. So if I tell you to go and do a candle magic working, and you don't know why you're going to do that candle magic working, then and you don't know why you're going to do specific actions, then for all intents and purposes, you're shooting in the dark. Whereas if I go and I do that candle magic working and I know why I'm doing every single thing that I'm doing, and I know how it connects to the world around me and how it connects to what's going on within me and how it's going to help me generate the result, I can get that result. So I always say never do magical work where you don't understand everything that you're doing, or if you are going to do magical work, cut out the things that you don't understand until you understand them. And this is my opinion on the matter, but really it comes down to reducing needless complexity. If you're doing something and you don't understand why you're doing it, then what you're introducing is needless complexity into the magical work. And with needless complexity, what we're dealing with is essentially areas of our lives where we're doing something and we're not fully understanding why we're doing what we're doing. And because we don't understand why we're doing what we're doing, we're operating in a way where we're kind of like, well, I'm doing this thing, but there's an element of doubt as a result. And you might have a bit of doubt anyway, but if you don't know what to even do with that sense of doubt, then it becomes a real problem. Now, if you've referenced some of the recent articles that I've written on the Magical Experiments Substack, you can see some ideas that I suggest for how to handle doubt. But really what it boils down to is don't do something you don't understand. If you don't understand what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you do it exactly the same way as somebody else, it's not going to get you the result that you want because you don't understand what you're doing, whereas that other person does. That's one reason why sometimes you'll see people get magical workings that work for them but don't work for you. Another reason why, however, might be because there's internal resistance on your part. So as I've noted numerous times, 9 times out of 10, what stops someone's magic from working has more to do with the internal resistance that they're feeling than anything else. And the thing that I often find again is that people who emphasize just do magic, they're so focused on doing magic that they're not paying attention to being magic, to the identity aspect of magic. the way I approach magical work is that when I'm doing magical work, I do magical work in order to obtain very specific results. But what I also look at is, how am I changing inwardly? Who am I going to become as a result of getting this result? And the way that I look at it is, we have this result that's over here, okay? And then we have the magical work. And at the same time, here I am as well. I am extending my state of being to another state of being. I am becoming someone else as a result of doing this magical work. It's really important to understand that aspect and be able to play with it and recognize that you are changing your state of being, your identity. You're not just changing the world around you. In fact, really what you're doing is you're priming the world around you to be receptive to the change within you. The more you do this work from the inside out, the more you are signaling to the world that you are ready for the changes. And I don't think it's any coincidence that when you do the work on yourself and you change who you are, you'll find that in general that things change around you a lot more readily. And when you apply magic to the mix, then it becomes even easier to generate those changes. So it's really important to recognize that about, the magical work that we do. And this is one of the reasons why it can be really helpful to do magical work from that perspective. And if there is some part of you that's resistant, that's something where you need to work through that resistance. You need to figure out why you're resistant. Is it resistance because there's an ethical issue? Is it resistance because there's some part of you that doesn't fully align or agree with what you're doing? Is it resistance for some other reason? You have to get clear on that and transform that before that magic is going to work. So that's another reason why you could do a magical working and not get the results that you want to get. And then I think another reason to really explore in relationship to all of this is, like, when we're looking at magical work, is what stops me from getting the magical work to occur can be as simple as, I'm doing this magical working and there is an unknown variable that I haven't accounted for and that maybe this other person did account for. Or maybe they didn't have to deal with that variable. So sometimes it can be unknown variables that you just didn't plan for or could have planned for because you didn't know. And so that can be another reason. Now, one of the resources that I have that can be really helpful is an excellent book called How to Troubleshoot Your Magic, Get Better Results with Practical Magic. And in this book, I walk you through how to troubleshoot your magic. So if you don't have a copy of this book, I have a link below where you can order it from me directly. Of course, you can also get it on online sites. I'm also going to include a link to my pre-recorded class, How to Troubleshoot Your Magic, where I go into even more detail and depth. That can be a really useful course as well to help explore what's getting in your way with magical work. So if you're not sure why your magic isn't working or why you're not getting the results that you want, then it's time to do some sleuthing. It's time to do some detective work. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote this book, in order to help you do that kind of work, because I troubleshoot people's magic on a regular basis, and I can usually tell you within a few minutes of what you're telling me why it didn't work and what was getting in your way. But if you want to hire me to do that for you, I can certainly do that as well. But if you don't want to do that, I recommend checking out my book or checking out the class that I have to offer, which can help you with that process. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please make sure you share this video with your friends. Restack it if you're on Substack, or share it on YouTube. Thanks, and take care, and have a great day.